Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
All right, guys, welcome back to The Smylie Show. Really excited about this episode today. We have Mike Tirico joining us. He's a man of many titles. He's the lead play-by-play analyst for Sunday Night Football. Of course, the host of the Olympics this past year. Recently been named the lead play-by-play man for NBA on NBC this coming year. We've got the Kentucky Derby coming up that he'll be involved with. But this week, we're going to talk a lot of golf. He was the SiriusXM lead play-by-play announcers for the Voice of the Masters and had an incredible call coming down the 18th with Rory McIlroy winning the Masters. So we're going to set this conversation up with some help from our friends at Ahead. And of course, Mike Tirico. He's been a great friend of me. So today we're going to talk about trust-based relationships. Ahead builds and manages digital platforms that power the most successful organizations in the world. Their consultative approach, unmatched engineering, and innovative solutions combine to accelerate the impact and technology in every client they serve. Ahead's long-standing relationships are built on outcomes and experience with both their clients and technology partners. Learn more at ahead.com. And without further ado, Mike Tirico.
3 feet, McIlroy walks up to the ball. One look, Rory back and through, and he's made it! He's done it! It's a grand slam roar at Augusta National. Rory McIlroy on his knees, bent down in emotion, clutching his head. He's the 6th in the history of the game to enter golf's greatest group.
Well, we are joined now by the Voice of the Masters on SiriusXM, and that was his call on SiriusXM Masters Radio as Rory McIlroy becomes the 6th man in golf history to complete the Grand Slam. Tell you what, Mike, still gives me chills. What a Masters that was, and I imagine you've listened to that call a time or two since the completion of that one.
I've heard it a couple of times. It's great to be with you. I am your biggest fan, so it's great to be with you. But I have 2 things about that. Okay, let's just say 2 things now that we're a week away, and we can bring up the shroud of secrecy. One, it's all-time golf announcer whisper, which we never do because we're always, as you know, you're in a booth.
Mm-hmm.
But at the Masters, the radio position is under the camera tower to the player's left of 18. And it's maybe 20 paces to the edge of the green.
Wow.
So you are close enough. So now imagine this now. So you're up on a riser, maybe a 2-3 foot riser, under the camera tower, gallery ropes around the camera tower, and then you like walk in, climb in, go in. And then you're sitting up at a desk and you're surrounded by plexiglass. It's almost like you're a fish in an aquarium. Like people, as patrons walk by, you expect them to just like tap on the, hello, hi, we're here, like feed us over top, right? So you're right out there in the public. So you really do have to be quiet because the last thing I want to know is, hey, Rory missed a 3-footer for the career Grand Slam because he heard you describing it. Like, oh my God, no. So it's full golf whisper, which is
amazing.
It's stereotypical. But then the highlight of the call, if you listen to it again, and feel free to play it again, is Johnson Wagner, who we love, who's with me.
Oh, that was him.
That is his high pitch. It's the funniest thing on planet Earth. It's so great. Like every time I've heard it, all I do is laugh. I'm here listening for Johnson. He was like so excited to be there, to be a part of it. It was really cool, but it was an awesome experience. It's the last 2, Tiger in 2000 and that one, I've had the chance to call. I did Tiger 2000 on TV. So I think 3 of them have happened. There's 6. 3 have happened on live TV. The last one was in 65 at the US Open. 66 British Open was not on live TV in America. So it's really, in 60 years happened twice live on American TV or radio in this case. And I've been lucky to call both, which is just like, that'll be a career highlight for me for the rest of my life.
Well, Mike, how often did you think about, heading into the week, if Rory had the opportunity, what would be the call? What would be the tagline for you? Is that easy to come up with, or is that something as it happened, it just naturally came out? Or I don't know how that works with play-by-play guys, if you try to script it out or just for it to be natural.
So I think you are not doing your job if you don't have a plan, right? Because what are you going to do? Get to the 18th tee? Like, what do I do now, right? I think you have a plan. So if you think about it, then you're doing your job. I don't like to write it out and have it in front of me, right? Because then you lose the moment. And I think you hear in the one I did, like, Rory goes to his knees. That's the first thing I described, and then kind of finished the thought of joining golf's greatest group. I gave it some thought probably on Sunday morning, because I don't want to be sitting there for 4 or 5 days, like polishing ideas. Then it sounds kind of canned a little bit, right? And it was really different from TV because Jim, Nance, and Trevor Immelman, who did a great job, like from where I sit, like they said maybe 40, 45 words for 7 minutes. They just shut up and watched Rory go all the way up to the top there. On radio, you can't do 5 minutes of silence, right? You have no idea. Like, your job is to tell people what they can't see. So you've got to like nonstop describe. I must have gone on for like 5 minutes describing Rory on the golf course, going around the green, like, pulling his hat off again, just to help people see it if they couldn't see it, right? So they're two very different things, but you still have a moment that you want to replay. You just don't want to say he made the putt, he won the Masters. It's more than that. So historically, give it a chance. And I think it's more energized than it would be if it was a TV call, because we are truly amongst the people. Like, I mean, they are
so cool.
13 deep. They are right in front of us. They are almost encroaching into our area. Like, people were everywhere, exactly like it was when Tiger won in 2019. So from that spot, I've had the chance to call Tiger in 2019 and this in 25. So it's like, pinch me at Augusta, pinch me, I'm covering the Masters. Only 2 of us get to call it in America. Jim on TV, of course, who's done it now for 40 years and is one of my dearest friends. And I just love the guy. And I've had the chance to do the last, I guess, 6 of the last 7 on radio. Would I be doing radio at this point in my career for other events? Probably not. But for the Masters, like, you just say, yeah, I want to be there, and I'll never forget being there. So it was a personal lifetime experience for me.
Take us through the emotional journey that you went through as a commentator or a play-by-play guy, watching Rory trying to close the Grand Slam. As a player, I kind of know what he was going through, but nobody really knows what it's like to try to win a green jacket that, it's been omit from his, personal and golf journey at this point. So, what did you see on that entire day?
Yeah, it's interesting, Smylie, and I think it's a sign of just being blessed enough to do a lot of big events. You get into it, but you stay detached from it emotionally. I don't want my emotions. And look, I was pulling for Rory. I wasn't pulling against Rosie because I think Justin Rose is a great story. Second oldest to win the Masters. That would have been really cool, especially coming from 7 back. I mean, which would be the second best in Masters history. I was lucky enough to be on the call when Paul Lawrie won in '99 at the Open, when Van de Velde had the largest collapse at the Open. So those are, you never forget those, right? So I was kind of into that, but I didn't get emotionally, and I found it more and more as I do events now, to be emotionally involved, but not emotionally distracted, to stay steady, to be thinking about, okay, am I asking the analyst the right question? Are we all doing the right things in the booth? There's a little silence needed here. And I kind of felt the same thing I felt last year with Rory and Bryson at Pinehurst. As we were going down those last few holes, I was doing the odd holes with Brad Faxon. Hicksy's doing the even holes with Kiz. And it was just, there was like a real tension. I feel I was up on the edge of my seat and just kind of into it. You just got to remember just to back off a little bit. Don't lose it. Because I think when you get and players do it, right? You know this. When you're in the hunt, you got a little adrenaline running. Curtis Strange taught me this when I first started doing golf with him in the 90s. Like, hey, you're going to hit it you get hit 3 yards farther than you ever thought you would, because that adrenaline is real. And I've kind of learned in those moments to be like involved, but not attached emotionally, so you don't miss what's in front of you. So I was just kind of trying to focus on, okay, what's next? It's Oberg. Oberg's in the bunk. If he holds this, he's going to tie, right? So just be ready for that, right? Just in case. Which, by the way, I think that's underreported. I love that kid.
Oh,
I love him. I said the stupid thing I said when we were talking about it is a 2-man race with those guys going into Sunday. Of course, it was Bryson and Rory. I said, okay, this is great, guys. When Oberg is tied for the lead at some point today, I want $20 from everybody here, right? And he jumped up, and I'm like, "What I tell you?" I love that dude, and I love the fact that he went for it. Like he was in the second shot. He I'm sure he knew that was like razor's edge to get it out of that bunker. But like, what the heck? He wanted to try to win the Masters, and he cost himself, I think, $500,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
but like,
he's fine.
He's gonna be all right for it. But I just love that at this point, that's what he's about.
Yeah,
that's what he's about. I love that. So anyway, I didn't want to miss something like that. So don't get emotionally detached. That's kind of where I was during that. And I've gone back and watched it, and like, man, this was so good. I wish I was just watching and pacing like everybody else was.
Well, everybody loves the Masters for many different reasons, of course, Augusta National. But I think as a fan this year, they did a really nice job of showing the crowd on 18 and how they would update the scoreboards. And players, of course, around the golf course aren't really sure of what a Rory exactly is. And the same goes for the patrons up at the hill at 18. So you're sitting there, of course, and you know what's going on. How cool is it to hear the patrons, not really know exactly what a Rory was, because I was talking to Charlie recently about this. I guarantee a lot of people had no clue what the Patrick Reed hole out at 17 roar was, because that one had to confuse everyone. They see Reed go from 7 to 9. They're like, that was uneventful. We thought that was something different.
and look, just for whatever reason, like if somebody else would have held that shot, the place would have gone nuts, right? It was just like the reception for Patrick was a little muted, right? Even though it was like unbelievable. It just had a little different tinge to it, right? So I first experienced that as a journalist there covering the Masters and watching that happen and hearing people react. But then the Sunday of 2019, which I alluded to with Tiger, was my first time sitting there during the second 9 on Sunday. And so I got to see all of that. And as player after player after player was rinsing it at 12, and Tiger's just kind of moseying along and moseying along. Every time it changed, it was like high drama. And you're doing radio, so you have a monitor, so you know what's going on. You're calling the play in front of you. You're calling a couple other holes, so you know all that. And then you know that the reaction's going to come as soon as the group in front of me holes out, so they don't want the roar to detract from the attention for the players on that green. And so you can feel it coming. You know it's going to come. And then people start to sense and catch on, and they're watching. Like, it's a reminder that long respect for people who go to golf tournaments in person, because you all create a great atmosphere. It's a sensational experience at your hole, but you don't see the tournament at all. You see nothing, right? I mean, like, people at 18 are asking us, like, what happened? We got a couple of people now. Every shot, they're looking back at Johnson Wagner, and Johnson's like, 3 feet. You're putting 2 fingers on for people who are listening only. Like, he's holding 2 fingers a couple of feet apart. His index is like 3 feet, 10 yards away, in the bunker. Like, because people don't know what's happening. And most of the people who were there didn't see it until they got home on Sunday night, if it was a replay or highlights or things like that. So I love that reaction. It is uniquely Augusta, like the whole thing is. No electronic scoreboards, no cell phones. I mean, I think I'm spoiled because I get to cover some amazing events in amazing places. So do you. We all do. But every year you come back, and when you leave Sunday night, if you're there the whole week, you go, best. Period. End statement.
How did that compare to 2019 and Tiger making the trot up the 18th to the 18th green versus, what your eyes just saw with Rory McIlroy? His, like you said, he goes to his knees sobbing. 2 very emotional wins for players that were, looking for that win at Augusta that's been a long time. So for you, how do you compare? Which one do you think you give the nod to as one that's was more fun to cover?
So I've gotten the question a few times. Is it the best Masters ever? And, people are prisoners of the moment or their Instagram feed, one of the two, right? And I'm like,
I sure am.
Tiger 97 was as good as it gets. Tiger 2019 was pretty close to as good as it gets, and Jack 86 was all time as good as it gets, right? So like let's remember those three, and then we can fill in after that, right? Like let's not throw everything away. I think you nailed something though, Smylie. 5 years removed, it was a very different day because the Tiger day was moved start times up, finished trying to beat the storm at like noon or so, in threes. Coming up the 18th with a little bit different lead, and you kind of knew he was about to make history, right? Rory was different because it was such a to and fro second nine with guys jumping in the lead and out of the lead. And, you know, it looked like it was almost over, and then it's not. And now he's in trouble again. And, you know, what was going to happen in 18? And then he hits the shot in the bunker. So the walk up to it wasn't like that. So you got all of that. And then Rosie just, hits just a great second shot in the playoff, right? And, you know, and then you're thinking, God, Rose can make. We just saw Rory miss something similarly. Like, nothing's guaranteed yet. So you had all of that. So I think it was a little bit different. But from when the winning putt fell, that moment until the walk back up, they felt almost the same. Different ways. For Tiger, it was Charlie waiting for him, which was just juxtaposed with his dad 22 years before. Rory's a little bit different, but the same kind of feel. And I thought what really stuck to me, Smylie, was Rory was kind of tunnel vision the whole day, walking green to tee, right? Trying to politely acknowledge but not see or interact with any of the patrons. While Bryson was full-fledged WWE ring entry every single green. Bryson makes double. It's like, yeah, I just me too, right? It's like it was one of the great lessons in body language. And then Rory, after the putt and after he won, it was like, okay, now I can open the blinders up and really take in what I've been hearing and listening to all day, which was pretty cool to watch that walk go all the way up. And the coolest one was Shane Lowry. To me,
it's so great.
Wife, daughter, all great. The whole team, great, all awesome. But like Shane Lowry, who like stood very close to that spot 24 hours before, like, hey, I just shot $500,000. Don't ask me about Rory, right? And he's the guy waiting there, like, Rory's a big dude. He's strong. Shane Lowry picks him up like he's 8. Right? the way you pick up your little anaconda there, picks him up and gives him a big old hug. I thought, like, that was awesome. That just tells you so much about, like, both guys.
Yes. Really. Hard not to love Shane Lowry. And I think you made a great observation, too, about Rory McIlroy and kind of keeping his blinders up on that Sunday. And I think if you go all the way back to the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, Rory was pretty open about this in the months after the U.S. Open where he missed those putts and just how he was not able to really focus on what was in front of him, a little bit focusing too much on Bryson behind him, where he maybe lapsed a little concentration, let's say the 16th hole. And even in the Players' Championship this year, he was having to focus a little bit on JJ Spawn. So for him, I think being in that final group allowed him just, all right, let's just focus on this golf course today, not pay attention to the Bryson show. And I think there was a lot of comments made about, Bryson said that Rory didn't talk to him. Well, that's pretty normal in a twosome. You're trying to get and go, but I think that showed a little bit of not maturity, but just knowing how to deal with a big day and not to get ahead of yourself. So I thought Rory handled that great.
And in that twosome too, right? And look, I love Bryce. What would you say if you asked me, what's your takeaway from the last U.S. Open and Masters? Like how much I miss Bryson.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. So I'm very lucky, without going into a lot of detail, I got a chance to spend a good amount of time with him on a visit to Augusta several years ago, and just got to spend time with him. And I love his brain, his purpose, all that stuff. And I'm so excited that the switch is flipped and he is now the kind of man of the people-ish, right? There's a little bit of the Mickelson Daly type love from fans for him. And I think the sport needs that, right? The sport needs a superhero WWE character type, right? Who really wants to give back to the game. Like I've always wondered if Bryson had like a Scheffler or a Rory run, would people start to say maybe these one-length clubs make sense?
Well, I question everything about my game, so I would definitely be curious about it, Mike. I don't know if I'd go all in, but I would be like, well, you know what? If it helps me keep a golf ball or two in the bag during the course of the day.
But have you had the half-hour conversation with him about his clubs at any point over the stretch?
I talked to him at the U.S. Open a little bit last year about his driver length, and I walked away thinking, what did I just listen to, and am I all in?
Right. That's it. He has a way of getting you all in, and I just think it's great for the game needs personalities, and we've got guys who can hit at 320. We've got guys who can lead the tour in strokes gained putting, right? We've got we got the short game wizards. We've got all of that, right?
Right.
What we need is personality. Because remember, like this Masters, like the peak audience was 17 million. That was a high number, right? Okay, that's a below average Sunday Night Football game, right? And so I don't say that because I'm blessed to be a part of Sunday Night Football. Just a reminder, all of us who love golf. Golf is not the NFL or the NBA. It has its biggest moment has a big moment. The U.S. Open gives you a big moment. The Ryder Cup will. But the other stuff is like a really, really good college football game, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But just a reminder that the more people who come to the TV to see a personality, a star, that really helps the game because it keeps people attached. And that's what Bryson has in spades. Scotty is doing it because of his play. Rory does it, his play, and a little bit of his style, the way he does it. But there are, and JT does as well, right? But not many other guys. And Spieth, when he's Spiething all over the golf course and he's making 4 from 100 yards right or left of the fairway, right? That thrills people. There aren't many other guys who kind of hit that magnet and go, man, I can't wait to see what he's going to do next. Yeah. That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did like my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. Mm. And that was to me the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks is great for the game.
Hope you're enjoying this conversation with Mike Tirico. And we have to take a quick break to talk to you about House of Atlas. They're a brand new razor company that just hit the market. They just gave me one of their razors and just getting home. Haven't quite got a use, but tell you what, they look amazing and I'm really looking forward to using them. One of the things I really like is the smell. Here, I'll even give you a little sniff here. This aftershave. Tell you what, that's a good start. Smells amazing, looks amazing. Once I finally can grow some facial hair, I'm looking forward to actually shaving. So we'll report back soon. And for a limited time, offering 15% off of your order when you purchase any razor kit and the before and after set, which includes the precision shave cream and calming aftershave. Use code Smylie at houseofatlas.com. That's HOUSEOFATLAS.com with your promo code SMYLIE for 15% off your new razor kit and before and after set. Stop wasting money and time on your shaving products that don't look good, aren't effective, and cost way too much. Visit houseofatlas.com today, and let's get you right back to Mike Tirico. Well, I always felt like heading into Hilton Head after the Masters that we just watched with Rory, I thought it was going to be a dud of a tournament. There was not very many storylines that really could have carried the PGA Tour through the Masters, but they had the perfect storyline, which was Justin Thomas winning in a playoff on the 18th green, making a 20-foot putt, first win with his new child, Molly Grace, and it's his first win with Jill as his wife, which is just hard to even fathom. It feels
I heard Amanda say that. I was
so
like,
long.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, with JT, and you just mentioned him or just alluded to him talking about how he's also a fun character to watch on TV. but he's also been someone that's been a true advocate for us as media members to have more access and, challenging as other PGA Tour players to lean in a little bit to their personality, to help TV, to make their product better. Mike, you work so many different sports. You work, you got the Kentucky Derby, you got Sunday Night Football. You're going to be working NBA this coming year, and of course the Olympics. Many sports, and I find that golf might be the most challenging for us to get information, to talk to guys, when to talk to guys. All we really have are transcripts and relationships, where in other sports, Mike, you get the meeting with the head coach, you get the meeting with the quarterback. I mean, do you feel like for golf media, JT going and saying this to the players, how important is that for the product moving forward so we could continue to tell the right story?
It was great. And let me start by saying this. I think golf has come a long way in a short period of time, right? Walk and talk interviews, walk and talk with a reporter, walk and talk with the booth, with AirPods in. I never thought we'd see that. Like 4 years ago is no way, right? Interviews with guys when they arrive, all those things. What Liv has done is Liv has opened up this reality that we're now in a competitive space. If you're the PGA Tour, you got to get better. You can't just stay the same. And if a reporter, if Lisa Salters can talk to Greg Popovich or Eric Spoelstra or those guys in game 6 or 7 of the finals, we can probably ask you a question when you arrive before you start warming up. Right. So there's a little bit of that's different. That's a learning. Right. I think it's even more important for the golfers because this, you are your own corporate entity when you're out there. Right. Your logos, your chest, your sleeve, your hat, your bag, all that. Like that's real income. That's real foundational year-to-year income in a short window of time that guys have to earn it. I always like to ask people just to remind them how fleeting life on tour is to really make it. I'm like, hey, remember the Tiger 16th Augusta? Remember that chip? Remember that Nike commercial that hung on the lip and it fell in, right? It's like, yeah. I said, did he win? Oh, yeah, he won. Like, do you remember? Oh, I won by 3 or 4. No, he didn't win by 3 or 4. Do you remember what he did at 17 or 18? Oh, geez, no, he made bogeys. Really? Yeah. Do you remember what the playoff was? Mickelson and Chris DeMarco. Like, who? I haven't seen him hit a ball in 6 years, right? And that's not knocking Chris. It's just a reality. Like, Chris DeMarco was first page of the leaderboard 12 times a year for 5-6 years. And then guys go, it happens quick, right? So the players have to max what they make in their windows. And I think by opening the door and having a little bit of personality along the way. I'm not asking you to be Lee Trevino and tell jokes as you're teeing the ball up, right? I think it will help them long term. We'd encourage that, but I think it's important. So I credit the guys who are doing it more. I credit JT for seeing that. You know what? Instead of just saying, our TV product can be better, we are the TV product as players, so we can make it better. I'll tell you what's helped, and I'm not kissing up to you. You, Bones, the people, and it's not just you guys. Dottie, Colt, the people on the ground have a really good relationship with the players, and we're getting more from the ground from the on-course reporters than ever before. Not for a second am I saying that the people who are doing it weren't great, because Bob Rosberg and Judy Rankin, who are my colleagues, and Roger Maltby, and when he was doing it, Mark Rolfing, like those guys created the genre. They created the foundation.
That's right.
But now we've been able to now the players are a little more willing to not just kind of look over and like wave. Now it's good. So I do think we are closer to what's going on during the event in golf than we are in any other sport. I really, really do. I mean, Melissa Stark is not lining up, outside the wide receiver on second down, right? So, but here you're walking over and going, this lie's terrible, and then you're walking 20 yards away and you are like feeling it, right? So I think it's gotten a lot better. But bravo to JT and those guys for understanding this is a TV show. Yeah. Most of the money comes from the media contracts.
Yes.
And the other ancillary money comes from the sponsors that are seen because of those TV contracts. So just understanding the food chain here, I think that help has been really good. And I think it's in a good place. And it can get better, but bravo to the leaders for leading the charge.
Well, Mike, they make a lot of money. And that's the hard thing is get these top guys. It's like, hey, we do this. And it's like, well, I don't really have to, but I will. But, this whole new for-profit PGA Tour enterprises, the better, the more they lean in, the more the PGA Tour enterprises, the more money they make, really. So I think that's something that they figured out.
You know who else makes a lot of money? LeBron James. After every game, here's Lisa Salters with LeBron. Here's whoever the reporter is with LeBron. You know who else makes a lot of money? Patrick Mahomes. After every Chiefs game, Mahomes may throw 3 picks and have 192 yards and they win. And here are the players of the game. We'll get their game ball. And here's Melissa with Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Like they get it, right? they get it. So the examples, if the other sports are the examples, it's out there. I got what Shane Lowry was saying as he backed up the point that had become the topic of the month. Maybe we need 5 minutes to cool off. Maybe we need 15 minutes to cool off.
What are your thoughts?
I get it. I do get it. But remember that if you were doing this on, let's see, Corn Ferry, right? Or you're doing it in Europe, you're probably not making the money you're making because people here are watching. They've invested in you, need to give back. Did I understand Rory leaving? We were standing close to each other when Rory left at Pinehurst, right?
Yeah.
Did I understand that? Yeah. Did he get a different pass? Absolutely, because he shows up and posts up for interviews and says more than anybody all the time. So you kind of get you get one. Now, would it have been better if he would have just said, hey, I'm going to do one with you or one with, whoever, Damon, I think was there. I forget if Damon or Carr was there. Damon was there. Damon Hack. I'll do one and then I'm out of there and not talk to everybody else. Yeah, just so you check the box, so you ducked out.
Yeah.
But that I get. But you know what? On Friday, if you shoot 75 and you don't want to stop, I kind of got that. Sunday, if you're in the mix and you've had a bad day, you know what? You got to stand up to it. The emotion's fine, but if you want all the attention and the money that comes with it, there's a little bit of responsibility to it. Totally. You can give me one and say, guys, look, I had a bad day. I hit it like crap. I'm searching. I'm going to come back tomorrow. And I don't really want to do any questions. Thanks. No controversy. So you can do it and go.
What do you think about this suggestion, Mike? Why don't we just keep some old 60-degree wedges in scoring and just have like a little side room where guys can either, go. It's like a sledgehammer room. You can either throw the club, you can snap it on your knee, and just get all of the anger out and soundproof the room.
Yes.
Have a couple pillows you can yell into, and then after, these guys are going to be fine.
But you tell me, would that help? Would that really let it out for you?
I would probably need maybe more than 5 minutes, probably 10, and then I would be good. But at that point, I'm going to come out and I'm not going to have a voice. My shirt's going to be ripped in half. It's going to be a tough scene.
You look like that wrestling guy we were talking about. Look, I haven't been in the arena like that, so I don't get it. I know when we don't have a good show, I wouldn't really enjoy talking to somebody about it right afterwards. But sometimes there are things that we do that are just part of the job.
Yeah.
And it feels like the media is your conduit to your fans. Mm-hmm. I know you've got your social media. I know you can post 30 minutes later, an hour later. The golf media is extraordinarily reasonable.
Right.
It is not, the New York Yankees after blowing a 4-run lead to the crosstown rival Mets, and you're just getting peppered about why'd you throw a hanging slider? You just get peppered by 6 or 7 reporters, male, female, sitting right there around you, just like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? This is not that kind of media.
Right.
So I think you can kind of control it a little bit. But the relationship with the media and every athlete in every sport has always been one for dissection, one of evolution, and one of change. The good news is always hard to remember in the emotional time.
Yeah.
Is that it's great that people care. because someday you're going to shoot 74 and nobody's going to give a darn. That's strange. That's when reality hits in a very cold, hard way.
Totally. And to turn the page on golf, last week, Francie, my wife, would have been very upset if I didn't ask you this question, which was, how was the week on the Today Show filling in for Craig Melvin? Because that has to be a completely different world of TV. You know, you're so accustomed to letting the TV, you do the talking of what you see. Now, all of a sudden, you're sitting there. I know you were the host of the Olympics. You're capable of doing anything. You're one of the most talented guys to ever do this. But, I mean, that's had to be a challenging week of a lot of prep.
Yeah, so, Sunday afternoon, I am in depth on, what club, where's the wind here, what's the emotions for McIlroy. Is Justin Rose hitting balls? What is he going to do? Who's going to get to the tee first? The important stuff. And then on Tuesday morning, I'm sitting there, at 4:45 a.m., 5:15 a.m., excuse me, 4 a.m. wake-up call, 5:15 a.m., and I'm reading over these documents about the latest nuclear talks in Baghdad with Iran. And, okay, what's going to be the story out of this piece? And we have Janice Mackey-Frere in a factory in China to talk about tariffs, and I'm kind of doing that. And then like an hour later, we're going to talk about how long do you brine chicken properly. It's like that show is off the charts. I left Craig a note. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do this every day. It's so crazy because truly at 7:25, you're talking about something really important in the world, like tariffs and economy and all this stuff. And then at 8:30, you're on the plaza and you're talking about fashion tips that, that a certain shade of yellow is in for spring. And that's the it color made famous by Timothy Chalamet. So it's such a bizarre thing. They offered me the yellow top that I modeled on the show. I didn't bring it home. I don't know why I chickened out on that, but it was one of the coolest experiences of my career.
How challenging!
The show. Oh my God! It was. Look, nothing's hard when you're sitting on your butt talking, right?
Yeah.
And I was a political science major. I love politics. I love world events. I probably have CNN, MSNBC, Fox News on more in my office than I do ESPN or FS1.
I would have guessed that you had the Golf Channel on more than that.
Well, you see,
you're a golf nut, Mike. That surprises me.
You got at noon. Golf Today is on, right? I'll give Gary a little 5 clubs Monday through Wednesday. Like, if we get to a fashion segment and it's like women's jeans for travel, I can come over and see who Gary's modeling his Peter Millar stuff with for 5 minutes, right? I like balance, but I have great interest for news and covering news. So it was fun, but it was definitely something that you go, man, those people make it look really easy. But just love the chance to scratch a different itch. It was a blast.
Well, maybe you can wear that new type of yellow to the Kentucky Derby. It's 12 days away.
It would go at the Derby. It would be like fashionable at the Derby.
You could go a full just light yellow suit. I could see it now. Mike Tirico, Kentucky Derby. Yeah. Even a little yellow top hat. You could tie the whole thing together.
I like that. That's not a bad call. People always say, gosh, you get to cover the Derby. It must be the greatest event. I'm like, I think it is. Like 150,000 people are well served and having the greatest time. And we're there trying to get in commercials and give you the X's and O's on the 9-horse. And, what's going to happen is 20 come down at that start. It's a real. Have you been to the Derby?
No, Francie and I talk about going next year. And you and I have had this conversation about the Derby, and I wanted to just briefly talk about this because the Kentucky Derby, or just the horse crowd, as far as the knowledge that they have, how intimidating that can be for just the overall vocabulary that you have to have when speaking upon horses, that how old they are, or whatever it is about them, and just identifying them correctly, because it's a tough crowd, maybe even tougher than the golf crowd.
It's in a similar vein to the golf crowd. So in '96, I did my first 3 golf tournaments, and Jim Kelly, who worked at ESPN, who called what was then known as the Senior Tour with Gary Koch and Andy North and Bob Murphy. Jim Colbert was on their crew for a bit. Jim had to do the America's Cup sailing races. So he had to miss a couple of golf events. And that's how I got my start in golf. And then subsequently, Brent Musburger was moving on to focus on college football. So the ABC job was opening up. And my boss at ESPN moved to ABC and said, would you like to do this? And I said, of course I would. I'd love to. I didn't realize what career danger that was, because there are a lot of folks who come from general sports, come over to golf and just been kicked out because they didn't know the language, right? You can't fool fans. And I think what you need to do is be really careful about how much you know, is how much you say you know, because you can kind of look like a fool right away. And that's the same thing with horse racing. Like, just know the basics, understand it more each year. It's the 7th or 8th year, maybe 8th year I've done this, but know your lane. Don't get out. Like, I know I should never say to somebody hit one groove this way or that way, right? It just that sounded good. Well, they all sound good to me because nothing sounds like anything I ever do with a golf club in my hand, right? So just be wise and be smart. Golf. The one thing about golf that gives you a chance to survive, and why the viewers, I think, Smylie, are so demanding and can easily detect somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, is because we all play. Right. We all play, and we're all constantly in search of, right. And we all, every double digit handicap is guilty of passing along at least 3 tips a month. Right. Hey, I was watching Short Game Chef on Instagram, and I'm really trying to get my buttons back and through, and like, we think we know, we don't know a thing. Right. We just keep fooling ourselves on a regular basis. That's different from every other sport. And I think that's what makes the golf audience so smart, so demanding. And horse racing is a smaller, non-participatory, but equally as demanding, because they bet their money on the horses.
Of course.
So they're putting all their energy into their hopeful benefit in their bank account, not just their scorecard.
When Rory McIlroy makes his 3-footer on the 18th green of the Masters, we know he won the Masters. When Michael Jordan makes a 3-point shot at the buzzer and they're down 2, we know they win the basketball game. With horse racing, when they're coming down the stretch, you got 2 horses that are neck and neck. How difficult is it for you to call a winner?
So that's the fun. It's funny because that gets asked often, and the fun part for me is I don't have to deal with that stress because Larry Colmus is calling the race, and Larry's the best I've ever worked with.
Oh, that's right. So you take it all the way up to it, and then
and then right after they come under the wire, Larry calls it, and says usually the time or some pithy, smart, sharp sentence, and then it's us for the next 3 or 4 minutes, right? And then you've got, okay, what's the historical context? What's the perspective right away? So you do have to prepare like you're doing the game, because any one of the 20 horses, we had Rich Strike at 80-1, which was the second biggest upset in the history of the Derby. It's like, where'd this horse come from? But last year, we had a blanket finish where we didn't know which horse it was. I was panicked is the wrong word. But I was like, okay, what do I do? Who won?
Where's the replay?
Give me the replay quick. And we got very, very, very lucky, because in the replay sequence, you have to know where there's no line, right? There's a mirror where they take the picture. That's what you have to look for in the replay. And we had a similar race last year on an undercard, and our producer, Lindsay Shanzer, hopped in my ear right away as we went to the first replay. Don't forget it's the mirror. I'm like, I got it. Or I do remember that, but like it was.
So you were taking it right away, or
we
out
take
of that.
It right away. Like they finish, they gallop out maybe 10 seconds, and then we're on, and we didn't know who won.
So you had an important 15 seconds. The first things that you said were going to potentially be what the public thought happened.
Right. Like don't screw it up. We're watching with you. We're watching it's like the same thing. What really was like football or basketball now, where every 5 minutes it's a replay. You're watching that first replay with everybody. Right. And you're like, let's watch it together. And then even on that, it was close. I'm like, I think I'm not sure. And it was it's fun. And it's such a cool event because now everybody's holding their tickets, right? Mm-hmm. And I know people are betting online with a lot more sports, but in horse racing, the betting was, and always has been, the pari-mutuel part of it, an integral part of the whole deal. So, so you've got bettors who are hanging on your every word as well. It's cool. I hope you get there because it's it's a slice of Americana that is unique and different. And if there are bucket list things for people to do, if they're sports fans with the means, lucky enough to do them, like the Derby's right at the top of that list.
Well, I can't wait to get up there. And before we say goodbye, it's a Ryder Cup year. So, Mike, what do you think about the United States team with Keegan Bradley and Luke Donald's team? That seems to be pretty formidable. Just your early feel on who you feel like might be the favorite, not knowing what the teams are.
Yeah.
These things aren't organized. But
exactly.
Just thoughts.
So I'll give you an answer in a second, Smylie. I'm most excited about a big day in my spring every year is in the middle of May. We get the NFL schedule. We know where we're going to be for Sunday Night Football, Cowboys, who the Eagles going to open, when do we go to KC, see the Chiefs, Bills, Lions, all that stuff. But I just want to see that last weekend in September. I want to know, are we going to be anywhere on the East Coast where Collinsworth and I can sneak to a day of the Ryder Cup and just go see it in person? Because this is going to be great. This is going to be so good because of the New York factor. I grew up in New York. Know what New York fans are like. That's how I was raised. Know what Bethpage Black was like during the U.S. Opens. And this is going to be off the charts. I hope it's smart. I hope it's safe. I hope people let the golfers be the stars and the fans can be the co-stars and share the spotlight. I keep looking at the teams every once in a while, and you go, okay, there are going to be a couple of European players who you don't expect who are going to make every putt they look at for the whole week, right. Because that's a road Ryder Cup, right? That has been the magic of the Poulter factor. Even without Ian, somebody's going to walk in and just make 20 footers like out of their sleep, roll them in. Man, there's a lot of pressure. Therefore, I think. A lot of determination on that U.S. side. Given the recent run, home Ryder Cup in New York, can't let this one go. Keegan's going to have an edge. I think that'll bring an edge from Friday. Like the Keegan edge reminds me a little bit of the Zinger edge as captain. There's like there's a lot of bulldog, right? There's a lot of good player. There's a lot of I want the putt. There's a lot of, and I think when a give me the ball guy is the captain of the home team in America, it just gives it a little extra edge. It doesn't mean anybody else can't win. It just gives it that little extra edge that I think they're going to need because you start looking at Lowry, Rory, Oberg, guys who are just they're going to show. I hope DeChambeau's on the team. Yeah. I hope Bryson's on the team. Like if you leave me with one thought in the whole live and the tour and all that, that dude's got to be there. Yeah. He's got to be there. On that golf course too. It's a perfect fit for him. Exactly. And for the crowd and, like I said before, the wrestler entering the ring, man. How about give me the camera walking Bryson through the people, through the tunnel to the first tee, and that'll be like a moment. You'll hear that roar all the way in Midtown. So
that tee shot at one too, Dolph, like right down the hill. He's going to be aimed so far right. It's going to be 400 yards. He's going to hit it so hard. It's going to go at the middle of the green, and it's going to be 60 yards short, and nobody will care. It's like he tried to drive the green. It was awesome. That's one of those things where. Tone can be set, right? I'm throwing him out first. Let's go. Let's set the tone right from 7 a.m. on Friday morning, and let's just have a weekend, right? And you start thinking about all the potential singles, like who's Rory going to go up against? Who's Oberg going to go up against? JT's playing well, right? If Spieth gets on a little roll with JT back in the winner's circle again, we throw the dynamic duo back out there in New York. Like there's so many things, and that's what I love about the Ryder Cup. Every 2 years, it has us talking 20 weeks out about it, right? That's right. And that's why it's the best. And I know how much you love it. It's going to be so great, like having you and Bones just right there in the middle of the whole deal. Oh, can't wait. You got me all excited, man. Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't agree with you more, too, about Keegan Bradley. He's going to have his guys very motivated. That definitely won't be the issue with the United States team, but I worry a little bit. This might be a team of destiny, talking about the European team trying to win on foreign soil. So really excited Ryder Cup upcoming.
I love Luke Donald. I am such a – he worked with us for a few weeks last year.
Yeah. Bay Hill, the Open.
He was great. I saw him. We're walking at the Masters. I saw Luke and his wife Diane. He's walking around with Roger Federer. I'm like, look at you, man, Northwestern guy. What happened? He's the perfect steady guy. Look, when he took over last year, as that thing was, with all the live stuff, as he took over and just stepped in late and just made it smooth. Like so underappreciated, but that's his career. He's been excellent and underappreciated, and these are his flowers. And I was super happy for him, his success. But he's won one. I mean, let's share here with America. Come on.
All right, Michael, keep doing what you do, man. Keep crushing it. We're very obviously excited for you with NBA next year. Of course, being the lead play-by-play when it comes to the NBA. I'm sure you're excited to get back into that realm. And the NBC's got the Super Bowl next year. Then in 12 days, we've got the Kentucky Derby. So we're going to be hearing a lot of you. And I miss seeing you, man. I miss our walks out on the golf course. Just trying to figure out our own games and also figuring out everybody else's.
Well, I'm going to come bother you in Pittsburgh in all likelihood, but I'm going to embarrass you for 30 seconds, like watching you, like not only just step into this role on TV, but this and the podcast and what you've done and what you've become, what you've done with this is just really cool. You make golf cool, which for us older people is really cool. And I love being around you, and I can't wait to see you again. And I'm really thrilled for all your success. You deserve it. You got a great fam, great dad, great husband, and you're just as cool hanging as there is. So I look forward to seeing you this summer.
All right, buddy. Well, we definitely need to get a drink sometime soon and catch up, and look forward to that time. Thanks, Mike.
Smylie. Be good, bud.
See you.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our local fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too. So please keep it up.
For all the good people at YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the